JC, Billy Wayne, and Junior all call themselves hunters, and I guess that's about right, because they couldn't find their own hind ends with a map. So they were pretty much hunting all the time. One of the best hunting trips I remember them telling of was back a few years when they were younger, greener, and probably a lot drunker. But no one had missed a drinking around here, so I can only speculate about that. Anyway, they set up pretty early, for them anyway, about sunup. They were walking across Acey's deer lease and trying to find where he had the feeder set up. A tornado had passed through there a couple of years ago, and a fair few large trees were still down, so they were just stepping and climbing over logs like little kids in a playground fort. Any seasoned trail walker knows you should step up on a log and check the other side before stepping down, because any manner of hazards could be laying on the ground waiting to bring a little more misery to your day. Of course, these three young men weren't really worrying too much about what dangers lay in wait behind a log. They were three headstrong young bucks with no fear and no caution. I guess they thought they were invincible or something. If I were guessing how this would go, I'd say they step over one of those logs on a copperhead or a rattler and spend the rest of their fine morning sucking snake venom from a bite wound, but my predictive skills aren't what they're cracked up to be. No, sir, old Billy Wayne just sort of galloped over one of those logs and his foot landed in a foot-sized hole about a foot deep on the other side, perfect for grabbing onto his foot and snapping his ankle in ways that no ankle joint can withstand. He wanted to put a brave face on it, as you can understand. I reckon he was already playing the script in his head of how the story would be told by his two best friends here, who were itching to humiliate him. At least that's how he saw it. That wasn't on their mind at the moment, though. They were just thinking of how they were going to get him out of there. It was pretty clear he couldn't walk, and it was too muddy for any vehicle to get in there, so they decided to carry him. First, they had to lift that foot out of that foot-sized hole, and I have to tell you, there was some screaming involved. Even the slightest movement of his foot or leg resulted in hollering that I'm sure could be heard in the next county. Well, they finally got his foot out of the hole and got him on his back when Junior offered that old Doc Watman only lived a half-mile up the road. At the first mention of that, J.C. volunteered to run up the road and fetch him. You might think J.C. was a helpful friend, or you might think J.C. just wanted to hightail it away from an uncomfortable situation, but he was gone and back with Dr. Watman in under an hour. Now, Doc got there, surveyed the situation, and said, "Okay, boys, we got to get this leg straight and get that boot off where that thing starts to set." Billy Wayne offered that he preferred to maybe get some pain pills or something before they tried that. But Doc said there wasn't time. As Hamlet might say, Billy Wayne protested much too loudly. To set him at ease, Doc said, "I tell you what, I'm going to try to get this boot off and straighten his leg. If it starts to hurt too bad, I'll stop." With that, Billy Wayne agreed, and Doc set to cutting that boot off and getting the ankle in shape that looked more human. But he did it through howls of pain and terror. Billy Wayne kept screaming that it did indeed hurt and that Doc had promised to stop. Once Doc got the ankle straight and wrapped it with a splint, Billy Wayne said, "Doc, I thought you said you'd stop if it hurt, and it did hurt very much." Doc just smiled and said, "Well, it didn't hurt me."